So I want to get to the painting. And what I did, I put it on the wall. By the way, everybody, welcome back to Alexander Art. My name is Tom Anderson. Happy to bring this to you guys. And what I want to say here is that I put this on the wall and I looked at it and I thought, you know, I'm going to change some things. I took my palette knife, I sat down for about 20 minutes, I readjusted that. I shortened these people down to balance out the painting because it looked like a Da Vinci, like the behind the Mona Lisa, the landscape's up here and the bottom part's lower. I went, oh no, I'm painting like Leonardo da Vinci now. And then, so I kind of shrunk them down a little bit to balance it out. And then I went over here and added a few more people. And then I think I tweaked, I put a little more clouds up in the sky and I put a little more light on that. That's about it. That's all I did. Oh, I put a little tone of brown in here. I can see it now. But then I thought, maybe I better show these guys something. Now, we all saw Steve yesterday, so we're going to get into carpentry. No, I'm just kidding. Look, if you do this, get yourself because you never know, the bubble is right in the middle. You never know if your easel's off. You know, think about this. You put it on there, all of a sudden it's like up here a little bit, and that's going to throw off your angles very quickly. So get yourself a level and put it up there. I've done it. I mean, I'm not perfect, you guys. I've done this. Okay, get yourself a level when you put it up there. Another thing you're going to need, if you're doing some things, and don't feel bad about this, every great painter in history had tools they used to help them get angles and things. Get yourself the T-square because you may want to put something on here. I'll have to move this forward later. And draw yourself some angles there. And maybe you're going to want to do some angles like that, horizontally. You could even do this if you can manage it. Okay, so get those two tools. You're going to need it, and maybe just a small ruler. Was that fun, you guys? Okay, because I noticed I had this on Cricut the other day, and I still managed to pull it off. That's crazy, huh? I don't want you guys running into that problem. So I'll use the T-square to make sure I'm actually, see, look, when I put it up here, I don't know what's going to happen. I think I'm seeing it right. This is a 18 by 24. And I did put a white gesso on and I sanded it down. Gave it a light sand. Now let's check it, make sure it's level. Pull it forward a little bit. Especially, you guys, especially if you're doing things with angles in it and stuff like that, you probably want to make sure your canvas is level as possible, because that could really throw you. All of a sudden you're throwing an angle up there and you don't know what's happening. Whoa, I did it. That's pretty good. I actually surprised myself. The other day I had it on there wrong. Okay, so now going down to the intrinsic palette, and clean your brush real well when you start off on this painting because it's kind of important. I put my magic white out. You guys know how to do that, right? Let me see a paper towel. So what I do is there's a little tiny plug on there. I take a paper towel, hold it that way, and I give that a shake, and then I just squeeze it out. See if you see that. See? I always shake this up before I start it. Holding the paper towel on there, I just put it back in, and that way I don't get so, you know, my fingers are still clean. Not to say that I don't get dirty painting, but that's an easy way to keep you from getting in there, getting all that paint on you. So I'll stir this up to my stuff I laid down. Now here's a quick thing. Look, now I got the palette knife in my hand. Sometimes you can take the brush, or sometimes you can just go up here and do this. It doesn't really matter unless you want to get up into, I'm not going to do all palette knife on this, guys, but as long as I got this in my hand, I'm going to spread this out. Why not? And then take the brush and go for it. I can do whatever I want. You know why? A great painter one day said, I could paint this painting with my shoe. Guess who that was? That was Bill Alexander. And guess what I did? I painted a painting with my shoe. I actually did that. It's kind of fun. And then Bill said he slept with his brush. And then I decided I better sleep with my brush. I just take everything for literally. All right, so now the paint's up there. You can see how I've impastoed it. Look, even though that paint's thin, it's sticking out ridges. All I want to do now is just, now this is a made up word. I know you guys don't get on me about this word. If this word does not exist, this is a scrumbling action. A lot of people say, there is no word is grumbling. I know that. When I was teaching kids, they didn't understand how I was doing that. I said, well, instead of painting it like a house painter, scrumble it around. And they said, well, scrub it. I said, scrub it. And I said, what would you call this, you guys? They said, scrumbling, and it just came out. So that's a new word. I didn't invent. I call it scrumbling now. I think the kids nailed it. So there you go. Our canvas is level. And this way, as I'm doing this and spreading it out, I'm making sure that I'm going as much as I can. Now, if you have to, lean to the side and see what you're not getting. It's important. Hair today, gone tomorrow. Sometimes you're going to get a hair on there. Just knock it off. Spread it around. Now, even though I'm doing this, it seems like I'm wasting my time, but I'm really not. What I'm actually doing is I'm taking the hairs, and all these hairs have a split end. So what I'm doing is, when I scrumble this, I'm doing short, erratic strokes. And what that does is it pushes all that paint down into whatever pores are left in the canvas. So it's going deeper than just doing this. If I do this, I'm just laying it on the surface of the fabric. I actually want this down in the fabric as deep as I can get it. And that's why I don't put too many coats on here. Unless I want it slick as glass, I'll still sand it, but I actually want it to, what you could do, I just want to have it one layer, good gesso, and then I want to spread this out. Oh, now that I'm doing this, I have to bring something up. There are canvases out there, and I've mentioned this to my Beyond class, where they spray a polyurethane on it, or a kind of a plastic. And if you try to put that magic white on that canvas, it won't work. Because it's like a sticky product. So it's a cheap canvas. You're probably going to want to get yourself a good canvas with good gesso on it, or make sure you put your own paint and your own gesso on there, because it just won't slide and move around. I've had people say, oh, it's not working. That's because these canvases are painted with a polymer. I mean, they're sprayed with a polymer. So I'd avoid those. Get a Frederick's canvas or something that's a little more expensive. That way you're going to have the paint's going to flow. Be careful of that, you guys. That is the most frustrating thing ever. You're trying to put the white on and it goes nowhere. And I don't see that often, because I don't buy those canvases. I get something that's got some good good gesso on it. At least but I always like to add my own gesso. See how I'm going up and down now, kind of weaving it all together.
Tom,
Across like that. Yes.
do you or Linda know what brand that is that that they put that coating on? I've seen those before. They come in 2-packs or something like that. I'm just wondering if we can.
Don't get mad at me, but if it says Mexico, don't buy it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Mexico, don't buy it.
I know, like Joann's and Michael's, I don't know if they still sell them, but they used to sell them in 2-packs, and they just won't work for this technique.
Got it. Okay, I'm going to do something for my friend Linda. Okay, I'm going to measure how far down the horizon is from the top. So I'm going to that blue line. I probably won't do this exactly the same, but let's just do this. Looks like 11 inches. So I'm going to put that there. Was that 11 inches? Hold on a second. Did I do that right? 10 inches. Haha. See that? What kind of painter am I? Okay, 10 inches. So I'm going to take this brush. I got 10 inches up here. I'm going to find the horizon. You don't have to do this. I mean, I'm just doing it so you could. I know Linda likes this stuff. I'm pulling down a little alizarin crimson, and I'm just going to make a mark right there. Okay. Now, if you want to get your T-square out and you have a problem making a good horizontal line, you don't really need one right now. But I chose the color red on purpose because red is the most forgiving color in the intrinsic palette ever. Now, I know that looks a little crooked up there because I'm not really focused on detail, but there goes the horizon line. That gives me enough sky now to work with. Okay, guys? Now, let's take this and measure where the middle of that, where is that bird at, or boats back there? Let's do this. So I'm going to go from this side of the canvas. Now we got 11 inches where those two boats are. So I'm going to make a little mark. And then if I go from those two boats to here, it's about 11 3/4. So if I go like this, somewhere in this range, if you're a little off, don't worry about it. I'll get more red, same color. I'm just going to make a mark just to know where that is. Now I'm going to measure from here to here. And it's about right. So somewhere in this range. You do that again. Yeah, that's about 12 inches on that side. So it's close. This is a little bit longer. This canvas is just slightly longer. Of course, this is also, the edges out here are kind of blurred out and the canvas has been wrapped off. So that's a tiny bit smaller than this canvas, okay? I'd say about 1/4 inch. If you're in that ballpark, don't worry about it. Okay, so this is where my little boats are going to go. All right. Now, I know that's center and red is just going to sit there for a minute. Okay. I want to measure where the dock is first. So I'm going to start here where this ends. I'm going about 8 inches. Hold on. I'm going to try to do that and turn the camera around because that's just me. I'm operating all this by myself. So I'm going to make a mark here. That's where the dock is. Okay. Okay, there's my dock. Okay, now I'm going to measure from the top to the bottom. Let me do that. I just want to get you guys in the ballpark. From the bottom of the dock to the top, where the blue, actually where the blue is, it's 12 and a quarter. Okay. So I'll go up here. 12 and a quarter. It's not that far down, so it's right about here. All right, that gives me a good, I'll get into the other boats later with the measurement. I want to get busy painting though. So now I know generally where everything's going to go. And I picked what was important in the painting to get started with in my own visual. So for me, I just want to get this started so everybody gets understanding. When we get these boats, we get this going, then we start getting all this blue in the sky, and we'll get that and then we'll come over here and do that and do this boat. And that'll be fun. You guys ready? Here we go. Now I'm looking at this thing in my mind, I'm doing what I know I need to do, and that is to turn everything into blocks and pyramids and circles, whatever's V shapes, you know, anything that's going to make it give a general look. So I'm going to mix my color now. Okay. Touch of yellow down here. Touch of alizarin down here. That gets an orange color. Now, if I add blue to it, it will look a little brown. So just a little bit of blue. It's getting brown, but I don't really want brown because I'm not doing an earthy painting. I'm doing an ocean painting. So I want to override that brown with more blue. And I was going to put out burnt umber. I think I'll do that now. I knew I had it sitting here for a reason. Okay, that helps the painting to dry quicker with the Magic Clear, which dries naturally too, but this speeds it up. All earth colors, by the way, speed up your drying time. So like if you get a Van Dyke brown, that speeds it up too. That's just the way earth colors are. I'll put a little bit of burnt umber in it. A little bit more blue. And I'm looking for a gray, a kind of a cool gray. If it doesn't turn gray and it turns more green, then what I need to do is I need to add more alizarin. So this is called our base color. A little bit more. Aha, it's getting there. Lori showed me a picture the other night of this dark black color, and I looked at it, and for a second I thought, what's she doing with asphalt black? That's an old Renaissance color. I'm like, what the heck? Where'd she get that from? Okay, so I have now what's called, this is a warm gray. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a beautiful warm gray. And even though the water is cool, some of the buildings have to have some warm color in it based off of one reason. And you need to understand this. If you oversaturate the blue on the buildings, then you're not, the colors that are bright, that are in the orange won't receive it well. So let me be a good teacher and tell you this. If I start with a really, really cool gray, the warm colors I want to put on top will all turn greenish and ugly. So in this case, the water is okay to be cool because I'm going to put a light cool color on it. But if I put a whole bunch of green, bluish color in these buildings, even though they have blue on it, I need to bring out the light. So the warm colors, I have to keep it in a warm color. And if you really stare at that close enough, it has a nice warm wood look to it. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking more of the warm color than the cool. Probably thinking to yourself, why is he going to that right now? I'll show you why. I just want to establish this. So I'm going to draw my box shape because I want you guys to get into this. And I'm not going to finish it. I'm just going to draw a box. Now you're probably going to need your ruler to do a lot of stuff. Do you see how nice that color is? Look how gray. It's a warm gray. And then I look up here and I see all these other parts of the building. Well, I don't want to do the rest of that yet. I want to do this just to get you guys into the true concept of what the color is underneath. Now I want to go to the sky and everything else. So I'm going to leave that alone. I just want you guys to be able to make that color. That's what I wanted you to do today. So that's my mission, to get that color down. It's got to be a warm gray. or you're going to have trouble putting the light on. So now I'm going to clean the brush off with my art wipe, kind of get most of that out. Now, here's the other issue I'm going to show you. I don't really care if I have some kind of gray in my brush because gray is very forgiving. So if I have some gray in that brush, it actually makes the painting look better. That's another thing I wanted to bring up. So I'm going to get most of it out. I'm not going to clean it perfectly because I need a little touch of that in. Once you make a base color, you need to have that base color in everything everywhere. So I'm keeping the gray on purpose so that it matches this, it matches that, and it matches the sky. So you can start with gray anywhere. Here you go. Thanks. All right, now I'm going to take white, drop it down here, magic white, and I'm mixing that white into that gray. It doesn't look so bad. Look, I wiped it off pretty good, but it's not pure. That white's not pure anymore compared to that. This is where I'm going to get my phthalo green. How much? Probably this, let's see, half the size of a paint tube cap, half that size. Okay, now I'm going to add some blue to it. A little bit of blue. And you know, years ago, I would have just grabbed the phthalo, long time ago, 30 years ago, I would have just grabbed the phthalo blue and the phthalo green and the blue without the gray in it. And guess what would have happened? I would have been wrong. Sounds funny, doesn't it? I would have, because I didn't know all that. I had to learn this stuff as I went, you guys. Art can make you very humble. All right, instead of starting up in the sky, I'm going to start down here. Now, that's a beautiful color. Look at it. And even though it has the gray in it, you would think to yourself, okay, that doesn't make any sense at all, having that gray in there. But it's actually required. It's necessary. So I'm coming across, and I'm going to leave this glow of light here. So I'm dodging this right here. This is a dodging thing. Coming over here, and I can deepen this too. I just want to get this started. And I wanted to show you that the actual part of the water, this made that water right. So that's why I did it. Sounds like it's, so if I touch this accidentally and put it in there, it's still right. You get what I'm saying? Look, putting this up here and doing that, nobody cares. Do I mean that? Yeah, nobody cares. So that's your neutral color that takes care of everything. Now I'm going to go for, I should have spread the pink out in the sky before I did this color, but I wanted you guys to get this color down. But I am going to go to the pink up here. So I'll just go to a fan brush. I know Bill used to cover his painting with a lot of alizarin crimson sometimes, make beautiful backgrounds. Because it's the most forgiving color. So white, grab this too, white and alizarin crimson. And I'll bring it down here so you guys can see it. Now, here's a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4. Already 4 colors I'm working with. They're all synergenic with each other because eventually I'm going to be touching that red into these colors as I go. Hold on. So that's going to get more white over it. Don't worry about it. See how fast you can paint when you're doing wet on wet? Scrubby-dubby-dub. Just scrub it in. Go for the sky now. That's scrumbling. There it goes. These are new brushes. That's why the hairs are falling off. You're gonna find that happens a lot, you guys, with the new brushes. It's a little frustrating, but it just happens until the brush is conditioned. And then you never want to get rid of the brush ever again. So I'm moving this paint around, trying to develop atmosphere back here. Scrumbling, that's your key job, scrumbling. Uh-oh, I'm gonna do something crazy, watch. See, I don't care, look, because I know it's gonna be okay. See how I do that? That base color is the key to all things. Now it's hard for me to stay in one spot, I'll tell you that much. Because my creative juices are flowing. And that'll have to be straightened out. We'll get into palette knife and stuff. See, whenever you want to make a correction, the gray is so friendly. If I want to straighten this out more, the gray just works with the other colors, especially when you're doing structural things. Okay, it's already getting an oceany look. It's getting that kind of atmosphere that ocean has. You see that? Pretty nice. Okay, back to this brush. So I'm going to pick up a little more white and drop it in my phthalo green and phthalo blue that has a tiny bit of gray in it. Going way up here. I like that color. Looks good. I should lock this down a little bit better. Use your T-square, you guys. You never know. I mean, your leveler. You never know if the canvas is on level, especially when you're doing structural things. You know, if I were you, I'd probably do it all the time. Make it a habit. Now you see how fast I'm moving? I'm moving like Bill Alexander would move, and here's how I'm doing it. I got my brush way back here in my hand, and I'm not choking up on it like this. I'm doing this, and I'm not even, and I'm letting the hairs do the job mostly. See? Hair today. That feels good. See, that's a good feeling. Look, and then as you paint downward, you can blend things like this because why? Because you're losing a lot of paint from here to here. So by the time you get down to here, guess what? You've lost a lot of paint. Now that's a nice ocean looking sky, isn't it? I like it. I'm gonna add a little more blue in this region right here so it turns a little violet-like, okay? So I'm going to get more blue, phthalo blue, drop it down. Oh, by the way, I just picked up my paint from other paintings I've been doing and just put them on the palette. Okay, I'm kind of adding more blue to it. And I could put more blue down here, and back here. Okay. So this is on the horizon line. And you never know, you might have to come back and re-hit your horizon a little bit. And then, you know, pick some of this up and mix it in with it. And then we'll go to the fan brush and do some nice horizontal strokes that makes it look really nice and far back there. Because I think I see a pelican back there somewhere. I think. I'm going to put a little up here, keep it synergenic. Keep it synergenic and sort of intrinsic on the canvas. Anybody thought of that? You can make your painting intrinsic all the way through. All right, good enough. Let's drop that, put that down. Let's pick up the fan brush. Now this is an important factor. I want you guys to see this. When you're doing things, I'm going to put a little gray. Let me say this first. I'm going to put a little gray in that blue. I grayed it down. That pushed it back about another 20 miles. Ha! Did you hear that? That pushed it back 20 miles, Myrtle. Andrew, Sue, Linda. Okay, so this is important. When you're seeing like clouds in the distance or anything that's got a stridation like this makes things look like they're much further away. This sort of a horizontal stroke. And as you go up, the clouds get more bellowy. So anytime you do lines like this, it gives a depth to it. Once you start putting things in front of it, you get this sort of a depth feeling. And there are some darker ones up here that kind of go like this. See, can you see how that looks like it's far back there visually? So like if you're, let's say you're doing a desert scene, you got a mesa right here, and you got big clouds up here, but you're gonna make the clouds further away, cutting in like this. You're gonna make them short and stridation. You're not gonna make them bellowy down here. Unless you got a mountain way up here and you're gonna put bellowy clouds behind it, that's fine. But if you see that horizon, you're not gonna do that. Now over here, I've said this a million times, whenever you're going out of the painting, on the outer edge of a painting, just let it disappear. You know, I got to tell you guys something. I was kind of shocked to see this. I went to the Monet's where most of his paintings are, and I noticed some of his paintings that was Marmottan. I went to the Marmottan, and it was crazy. All of Monet's paintings, some of his lily pads painting, there was no paint at the end of the canvas. It just stopped abruptly. Didn't even pull it out of the canvas. I'm like, what the heck was Monet doing? But after I thought about it, he left us with a little message. It's not important to have a lot of interest out here. It's a good idea not to do too much out there. Just kind of leave it alone. Okay? So that hit me like a ton of bricks. Here goes a little movement I didn't know I was going to do. That's kind of cool. And then up here, fumato this out. Just fumato. Look, this is called fumato, you guys. Bill used to call it hypnotizing, but the Italian word written down in history is fumato. Does that mean I'm Italian? No, I just know the language. All right, so I got myself some atmosphere happening. I can ruin that and go over it again if I want. But now you can just do this, fumato everything with your fan brush. You don't care. Look, just do it light. And get into more of it later if you want. Just kind of read it. You know, when you put this down, it's probably not going to be exactly the way you want it. But do you feel the ocean? I do. I'm beginning to feel it. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and run lines more into the alizarin crimson I laid down earlier, both directions. Pushing that paint around. See, you're the master of your paint, you guys. All right, now here's the rule. I want to get this in. I want to establish all of this today, so all these other stuff can flow, get in there really well. Now I'm going to go a little deeper on these corners to really give it the depth right here. Are we prepared? I'm feeling the ocean. This could be a little lighthouse right here. Do you get it? And there could be Tom diving in the water, which I probably would do. I'm not crazy. All right. So I'm going down. I'm getting a little more blue, phthalo blue. Now this time, adding more phthalo blue into that dollop, I'm going to actually grab some of the deeper color of the gray, the first base color. So if you look at that, it's not real blue, and I could even add a little more phthalo green to it. So it's a little different now. It's like, it's got the base color, a little bit of that, but the blue in it too. Let's see what happens. Because sometimes you get, in ocean scenes, sometimes you get a little like seaweed and stuff, you know, in the water, and it kind of reflects through the water. So I'm going to go over here where it's really, really deeper and darker. So I'm laying a dark on top of this for now, trying to deepen this area down. I'm going to come across like that. And if I didn't add the gray in, it would just be too bluish, or too much of one color. So there's going to be shadows coming from this down later, so I don't want to over blue it. Plus I want to be able to put my reflective light on. I'm going to grab the same color, go to the other side. So I'm trying to get down the format of all this just to get something going. Now I need to make a little more, because see, you run out sometimes. So that was alizarin. I'll go into my dark gray. Alizarin, phthalo green, touch of burnt umber, blue. I'm making that dark color again. Now I'm going to drop it in here. See, I have to remember what I did. I need more alizarin now. I hope Linda's writing this down. See, now I'm back to the color, a little bit more white. See, you got to see the color. There's my memory. Do you see how I did that? You almost have to remember how you did this. If you don't remember it well, don't worry about it. I would start, if you do start this, you guys, make your base color enough paint that you don't have to do what I just did. Do more of it, because I can remember what I did. And then I wiped off the brush, remember? But I might as well use it as long as I got it. Ready? Let me show you watercolor technique for all you watercolorists. I'm going to put a little more red in that, though. I want to warm it up. That's good. Okay, if you're a watercolorist, this is a fun thing for you because you like this stuff. So do I. That's how you do reflections in watercolor. You just go back and forth like that. Just do this. And then do that. There you go. You're done. Okay. So while I got this color in my hand, I'm going to grab a little more. And I'm going to build this up a little bit. Let's see here. Color's a little different. I'm going to warm it up a little bit in a minute. Well, that gray is not too bad. It's still in the warm color though. I'll make sure to put it in here. If you don't get it right, grab color from everywhere else and start putting it everywhere else. Now I do need to warm it a little. So I'm going to grab a little bit of brown. This is where things get real interesting. You have to keep your eye on the ball. There it is. A little more brown in it. That's better. So I didn't grab as much brown as I thought. So this is there you go. 3 tiers, you guys. Now I'm going to do this for Linda. I'm going to make sure I don't go too high. I'm going to measure this. And let's see, from here to here. What do we have here? I'm guessing that's 5 inches, but I could get a cleaner ruler, couldn't I? That's about 5 inches. Okay. I eyeballed it pretty well. So 5 inches from here to there. I'm going to cut that off right about here and move that down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to draw me a little angle. And then when I adjust this later, this will make more sense when I pull the pier down. Like I said, when I do stuff like this, I am really not trying to get a perfect image. Like even that sloppy, I don't care right now. That's just the way I work. I don't try to get into too much detail. Okay, so this is right about here. I'm going to paint this down, get my little angle going down like that. Get my little angle going down like this. And just put the face of this on. Here's your little pyramid up here. Now, once I get the general idea down, I'll have to start reanalyzing all this because that's what happens in art. Because you got sections that you're working on. So I just want to do all the massive work like this erratically and not even perfect. I don't care at this point. I just want to get the basic shapes in. I'll refine it later with darks and everything else. So this is the top of the roof. Comes in like that. Don't worry about that. Now there's a little boat out there. I'm going to drop this brush down and I'm going to put that little boat out just because of aesthetics. I just want to get the idea going. Remember, this is not accurate yet. Keep that in your thoughts. I have to work out the details later. Back into this. See, this is becoming my workhorse, this color. I'm going to put a little more burnt umber in it. And today I just want to get you the feel of the marina. That's why I'm doing this. Okay, so this boat back here is slightly above the horizon line, the top part. And the bottom part is just at the bottom of the horizon. So I'm looking at this little V shape up here. See that? And then I'm going to pull this down and then pull this in. Is that accurate? No. Nope, I know that. I know it's not. Now that gave me a little placement for what I want to do next. I'll show you what I'm going to do. That just gave me a concept. I'm now using this to give me a guide where all this is going on. So just putting this up here can be very confusing to your mind. But putting the boat there and getting a general idea where this is, I can start drawing out where I think things are. Now I know that's complicated and scary. Let's see if it works. So this is a little higher than the boat. You know, sometimes graffito is your best friend. And this is going to come down. And this is going to come down. I'm spacing this about, so I'm just generalizing. How many fingers? 3 fingers. And there's one more here on the edge. Now I'm going to put this right here. There's a little window right here. Okay, and then there's a little rooftop that goes this way. It looks like I'm a little short on this right here. I'm going to bring this down a little further and drop the window. Okay, I'm going to drop the window down a little bit. So I'll clean this up with my finger and I'll drop the window down just a little bit more right there. Then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to draw this thing underneath here. And it looks like the top of this building is going to be up right about up here, which looks a little longer. And I'll draw this out. And then I'm going to raise this up just a little bit. So I'm in the ballpark. I'm somewhere in that area. I'm in the ballpark. Okay. Now, see that gray out in the sky? I'm not worried about that gray because, well, I can use my finger if I want. I can turn it into sky. Come back with lighter blue. Pull it out here. That's kind of fun. Finger painting, I was good at that in grade school. Okay, let's see that. Okay. All right, now this building come down. Remember, I'm winging it, you guys. I'm not going to measure everything out perfectly. And if I don't do it exactly the same, at least I gave you guys the tools to get this going. I'm going to drop that down a little further. These are all just angles. Establishing my area. There's a little window here. Do this sloppy, you guys. There's a little door off to the side over here. And then there's this part, the face part of that. Now let me just move in this way a little bit so I can look at this a little better. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to maybe reestablish that. Looks like I got enough sky up here. I think I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay. That looks pretty good. This actually, you know what? I think I made an unconscious decision. I didn't want this as high in the picture. This is a little high for me. I'd rather have it lower in the picture. So unconsciously, which I live mostly by, unconscious. Okay. So then I think there's a little part right here comes down. This angle comes back a little less. We'll have to get into that too. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see that simple drawing to get me started on what I need to do, but there's a lot of things in here. Take your time, do it with your brush like I'm doing it, because it's just going to make things better for you. Okay. A lot of energy went into that. Now, I think I want to bring that out a little bit more and maybe move this out just a little bit more right there. So the boat out here, draw that out, draw your angles coming down. That'll give you placement where to put everything. And draw that out, that out, that out. And then we'll have to get deeper in here, deeper there, deeper in here in color. There. Okay, cool. Good undertones. Good way to start. Actually, this is kind of leaning a little bit. Let's straighten that up a bit. Okay, so all of this is going to fall in the water deeper later. Okay, so now if you look at this boat down here, if you look at this boat, it's not that far from the top of this to that. So what I'll do is make a mark and show you how to get that little boat in. And I'm focusing on one side because we've got the other side to do too. I just want to get a little bit of this established. So this boat, if I drop a line down and I touch it right there, this is going to be kind of straight up and down. I needed all these colors down to do this, guys. I'm going to draw up my little V shape there, bring it down. This is foreshortened, so what we have here is the boat comes down like this, see? And it's not that long, and then it drops like this, and then it's pretty straight at the bottom. And then it'll look better once I get into it, the actual design of it. I'll do it a little bit longer there. And then we got to put that down. We got to do this, this, and this, and that, and that, that, and that'll get better. It's just sort of there. Okay. I know time's flying. That's why I'm getting into all this. Okay. So before we go further, got that established. Oh, you know, I don't have a perfect idea of anything right now. I just have the concept down. So everything looks kind of ghostly until I add more dark. So I'm going to come down to the palette, grab my alizarin, go in here. I'm repeating the process. I'm making more dark. I mentioned earlier that Monet painted everything in sort of these mid-tone areas. And then what he did was he increased it, the darks as he went. I'm going to jump into some dark just for psychological purposes right now, so you guys aren't feeling the pain, because it can be very painful. Okay, so I'm just going to put some of this in. It's a little on the green side. It is pretty green in there. I'm going to go a little more blue in it and more brown. More blue and brown. Okay. So it's kind of murky in there. This is very green. There's a lot of moss growing on this particular area of the dock. And I'm hitting wet paint that's on wet. So it's never going to get as dark as you think it is. By the way, I'm using Alexander's flat sable. Pretty good brush, you guys. More brown. I'm just going to add more brown and a little more blue. That got darker. Okay. So I want to get some dark on this painting before everything goes haywire, because it all looks kind of ghostly right now. So I'm putting dark where I need it. More brown, wait a minute, more alizarin, hold on. I'm going to add more alizarin, more brown, and more blue. So think of this, you guys. Alizarin, crimson, brown, and blue. At this point, you're mixing into that gray, so it doesn't matter. You're good. And that's where my dollop is. So I'm trying to achieve some darks here on purpose. Things don't look good if without the dark. You've got to have that dark somewhere down the line. Okay. Okay, that was good. Did you see that move? Is it perfect? I don't know yet. That's the beauty of it. A lot of things I don't even know what I'm doing until I get there. Okay, so there's dark under here. I'm just picking out dark. My brain is only looking for dark. If you don't find it goes in very well in the beginning because you're hitting all that gray, don't worry about it. You're going to come back to it. Alizarin crimson, burnt umber, and phthalo blue. I have the violet out, but I don't want to do it yet because the violet's very intense. So this is me just generalizing everything at this stage. Just kind of getting the feel of what I'm looking at. And this is much darker right here. So there's dark right underneath here, much darker. And then I need to get this rooftop up here. It's darker. More brown. Boy, I tell you, that gray is knocking everything down. But that's a good thing, you guys. That gray really knocks down the paint. It really subdues the paint. I'm just going into the same thing. I'm adding the same color. Okay. All right, so let me straighten this out. Get a little straighter up here. Got a little greener. It doesn't matter. I'm going to put green. If I put red on green, what's going to happen? It's going to turn brown. If I come back with more red on it, it's going to turn brown. I'm having fun now. This is the fun part of painting, guys. Okay, down here, I'm going to draw these in real quick. I'm on a roll today. I don't even want to stop. I like these kind of paintings. All right, so I'm just going to pull this down. I'm getting ready to stop today. Tomorrow we'll pick up more structure, and then I'll start dropping all these lights on here and everything. And you're going to say, well, how did all that happen? Because I got to get down to the structure first. So I'm not getting a lot of dark at this point, but I am getting some values that I can work with and some concepts.
Tom, we can't see what you're doing.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It looks better from that angle, doesn't it? Oh, there's two of them over here. Now see, normally I don't do details, but I'm always feeling like I better do something in details when I'm teaching, because it can make you feel kind of bad when you're just looking at blocks, you know? Did you guys have fun with that today?